I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus, I was evil. Say things and break things and Jesus, I was evil.
Okay, Stephen King.
Well, introduce the show first.
Oh yeah, welcome everyone to episode 34, I believe, of the Reckless Musecast. It's great to be back. People often tell me on the streets, you're like the main driving force of that podcast, and my being gone, it was really felt. It's like the podcast community really felt my lack of presence these last 2 weeks. So
literally none of that is true. I'm hearing the buzz around the podcast world is that I should just commandeer the show entirely. But I said, no, I'm a man of principle and Joe is my friend and I will not do that to him. So
yeah, you didn't tell them that part of your severance package about getting fired from the show means that you have to come on the show and record without being paid.
That's the opposite of getting fired. Oh, without getting paid.
Yeah.
Man, Stephen King, he fucking tweets a lot.
I know, yeah.
What? And he's so like, okay, you want to just get into it?
Yeah. So Stephen King is it sucks because like I generally like Stephen King's books. I've always enjoyed his books and his movies and the movies based on his books and things. But he's a political idiot.
Did he delete the tweet? Oh no, it's right here. Never mind. All right, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
There are several tweets that we can riff on.
So he's obviously he's one of those authors that I call well, I don't have a name for it, but there's a certain as a writer, you kind of want to you want to attain this at some point. Very, very, very few writers do, but it's I call it. You walk through a bookstore or library. There are authors whose names appear larger than the title.
Yes.
Not many have it, but he is one of the best examples. Other examples would be like John Grisham, Danielle Steele.
Yes.
It's almost like the title's irrelevant. It's people are just going to read the next Stephen King novel, the next John Grisham novel, the next Danielle Steele novel. It doesn't matter.
Right.
That's an amazing place to be. I know Stephen King has a really interesting background. He suffered a terrible, I think he got hit by a car. I don't think it was a car accident. I believe he's like walking on the side of the road and got hit by a car.
Yeah.
He struggled like a lot of writers with alcohol and drug abuse and money problems. I believe he said he barely remembers writing Cujo because he was so drunk, I believe, all the time. So anyway, he's worked his ass off. He has really, he's the most famous horror writer, right?
Yeah.
He's so famous that he even purposefully wrote novels under a pen name just to see if people were kind of doing what I just said, if they were just buying the next Stephen King book or his writing was attracting readers based on the substance. I know he wrote The Running Man under that. I have that. It's a good book with not great movie, but a fun movie with
Schwarzenegger,
very 80s or whenever that came out, 80s or 90s.
87, I think, yeah.
But unfortunately, like so many of our heroes, he has become a establishment Democrat shill. Republicans have their own examples of these, but he's just like parroting the Democrat talking points on everything, and it's not like it's like any issue. I'm on his Twitter right now. It's like how many abortion comments and just like the same shit. Like if men could get abortions, XYZ, like it would be right. It's the same kind of shit, and I just expect more from someone who really like. I believe Stephen King was part of that. The Satanic Panic. Like I know I'm really. In like I, as a lawyer, I love obviously court cases, and one of my favorites as in gets me angry and seeks justice is the West Memphis 3, which is just a complete a complete rape of justice. I won't go. I think I've talked about it on the show before. Long story short, 3 kids were charged with murder because they were different than everyone else, and they read novels like Stephen King novels and wore black, and so they raped and murdered these children because they, there's very little evidence. This was in a very, very poor area of Arkansas. So point being that, Stephen King meant something to a lot of people who were outsiders, the opposite of the establishment, who felt different. And he's written some pretty fucked up things that honestly, like, I think if the base that he's pandering to read would not be comfortable with it. Have you read it?
Yes. Yeah.
I have not read it. But I know enough about it. And I want to get into that too, about my future with Stephen King. Yeah. But there's some really fucked up parts of that book.
Yeah, like the whole group sex thing.
Yeah.
Kids. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Democrats would be into that nowadays. Group sex with kids. But anyway, what brings up this topic? Why are we talking about Stephen King?
Well, it relates to the new Ministry of Truth thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are several tweets, but the first one that I want to talk about, which I did
a really great solo episode on.
That will be deleted.
Week. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to the episode that I did on my own. I'm biased, but our best episode so far.
There's just nothing there. There's just no content. It was almost like it was just like an empty, like
you just screaming into the abyss for an hour and 15 minutes. And the next thing. No, I actually think I was fairly calm for the subject matter
I haven't listened to it yet, but I do plan on not listening to it in the future. So
that's for the best. I talk a lot of shit. I talk a lot of shit about you in that episode. I think I told people that you were either dead and or celebrating your Mexican heritage.
Yeah.
For Cinco de Mayo, because I think it was on Cinco de Mayo, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm not allowed to partake in that because of cultural appropriation.
Yeah. Sorry, man. You can't even eat Taco Bell. But anyway, So Stephen King tweeted this out just a few days ago, saying, "I stand with Nina Jankowicz." So she is I have it right here. She is the newly appointed executive director of the United States Department of Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board. So you might have seen like her singing about disinformation, like in that was that Mary Poppins song,
which had stuck in my head for like 2 days and it drove me nuts.
Yeah, she comes off as very psychotic. She has like that sort of like psycho ex-girlfriend thing, and I don't mean like in a real life way. I mean like in a movie way. Like there's something like very cartoonish.
Yes, very cartoonish. Yeah, and that aside, like I don't know. I don't care what a lot of people do. If you want to make cringy Mary Poppins songs, you want to. There's that guy in the administration. I forget, he's into like pet play or whatever. I don't know. I really don't give a shit. I never cared. I'm one of those people, like, I never give a shit about what celebrities are doing. Like, are they good in the movie? I really don't care. But this is the person who is going to be deciding what is truth and what is not truth. Yes. And I'm not going to rehash the whole episode the last
Thank
episode.
You.
But the last entity on the planet who should be playing arbiter of fraud and truth is the U.S. government.
Right.
Probably. I know that was my tag with the last episode.
Some dorky 33-year-old with a crush on Mary
who
Poppins.
herself has spread lots of and misinformation.
Yeah.
So we hashed that out already, or I hashed that out last episode. All of the ways that's fucking ridiculous, scary, and wrong. But for Stephen King to tweet that, like, it's just so like I stand with. Like you stand with what? She's not on trial.
Right.
Like she like stand in what capacity?
Right.
That she should keep this job that shouldn't exist, not just for her, but for anyone. Like no one should have this job.
Right.
But especially her. And have you done the most cursory research on her? 2, and then 3, it's like I came to a point where we talk about separating the art from the artist. Like, I don't know if I can do it anymore, Joe, with him.
Yeah.
I don't follow him anymore. I used to follow him.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And yet people like Stephen King and George Takei and Vaush and they just invade my timeline against my will. I think I tweeted recently, every George Takei tweet I've ever seen has been against my will. I've never sought out his tweets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is one of those things where it takes a lot for me. The other writer who I've deleted. So I have a book list, and I'm very strict about my book list. My mom will be like, "Do you want to buy?" I'm like, no. If you're gonna buy me a book, buy it off my list because I already have too many. I've like it's like it hovers anywhere between 100 to 120 books at any time. So I buy a couple books and a couple others. So, any listeners out there, you want to get me a gift? Don't get me a book unless it's on my list. So. The only other writer I've taken a book off my list for is that Vietnamese American writer. He wrote The Sympathizer. And it won, I believe, won the Pulitzer like 2016. And he was like very vocal during the election, very anti-Trump, everything, which sure a lot of people were, but like to the pandering kind of same corporate Democrat establishment crit lib points. Where like I even, not to my horn, it got a lot of traction. Like he was saying shit that even the New York Times statistics weren't backing up. Like Vietnamese people, like his demographic, Vietnamese Americans in Orange County, which is where he lives, like swung extremely hard to Trump. Vietnamese Americans already being one of the most conservative Asian groups, but swung hard to Trump 2020. So it's like, you're not even, and he was saying the opposite. I'm like, look, the statistics show that you're not even correct.
Right.
Let alone just doing the typical race baiting shit. So and it got to the point where it's like I can't, like I took his book off because I don't want to, even if I bought the book used, like I don't know, am I being a hypocrite here? The reason why I texted you this morning to see if you want to talk about this, like am I being a hypocrite by not separating the art from the artist? Like it's one thing if, well, I don't know, like I just got so annoyed that even if I was going to buy the book used, I'm still I post every book I read, I'm still promoting it. Like I didn't want to do that. Is that wrong?
Yeah, it is, Ben. No, I mean, here's the thing. It's up to you. Because as we talked about before, it's one thing when you, as the personal, as an individual, say, I can't support this person. I want nothing to do with them. Even if I generally like their art or with the stuff that they put out, but I just can't in good conscience support anything they do. It's like, that's fine. Like, sure, like make whatever choices you want. Yeah. I can see where you can get kind of where you can kind of be, you kind of wander into hypocritical territory because we do talk a lot about, like we don't care about what, an artist does in their personal life or what their personal views are, as long as they produce good work. But I mean, at the same time, like, but it's also different because when it's on social media, when it's like
that's what I was about to say. That begs the question. Well, personal life is like, okay, you find out that a writer did something that you don't really love, like, and they got caught, or there's paparazzi. Like, this is Twitter. All this is coming from Twitter, where like they're putting it out there. And it's so just like nauseating and just like eye roll inducing. And so I took his book off, and now Stephen King, and I had books on there that I wanted to read for a long time. Like It was one of them. The Stand I haven't read, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I can do it. Like I don't. It's just everything I'm against. Like it takes a lot for me to do that. For me to say like, fuck this person, I'm not gonna like read their book. That is. Or watch their movie. Like I'll watch pretty much any, like even the movie stars I can't stand. Like if their movie's good, I'll watch it. I'll support it. I don't think are there any actors that you would like not watch their movie because they're in it?
Where it's like I think that they're talented, but because something in their personal life rubs me the wrong way, that I would not want to support their work.
I guess you don't even have to think they're talented. Maybe you just like what the movie's about. Or maybe they're not even the only draw. Maybe there are other, but it's like you just, because of them, for whatever reason, because of them, you're not going to support the art.
Probably Roman Polanski. Well, he's not an actor. Well, he's acted in a few things.
Roman Polanski?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What about someone more like, he's not making art anymore though, is he? Like, is Roman Polanski putting movies out there?
Not that I know of, at least for the last couple of
Right.
years, but
So,
I know
so would you watch Rosemary's Baby like tomorrow?
I would.
Okay, so like, and also someone who is, I mean, he's the opposite. Yeah, he did some really fucked up things, but he's not in like the public eye anymore.
right. But he also never really, was punished for what he did.
No, he was not.
I think he served like 2 days in like rehab or something. Like it was something like that, and then he just fled the country.
Yeah, where is he? Is he in Poland or France?
He's somewhere where that's shit's where they put up with that shit, I guess. I don't know.
I don't think it's that. I think it's the extradition.
Right. Yeah, he's somewhere in Europe.
Me. I think he's in Poland.
I think so.
I don't know if I'm just saying that because of his name. So there's no contemporary actor, actress, or director who you wouldn't and be like, oh, they're in this. Okay, I'm not seeing it.
Maybe Jim Carrey. I think he annoys me a lot. Yeah.
Because of politics.
Yeah, he's really obnoxious.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I don't see him as much, but it seems like every time he chimes in about something, it's the exact same stuff as like the Stephen King. It's just like I'm just going to repeat what everyone else is saying. Like we have to support Colin Kaepernick.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about him. I thought it was really shady. The last like Jim Carrey, I guess, in the news moment I remember with him was, I mean, it was a while ago now, but with Kick-Ass 2.
Oh,
where he like
kind of
threw everyone under the bus, and to me that was so shitty as someone who worked, like he wasn't the son of some famous director, like he was sleeping in his car. Everyone knows the stories, like sleeping in his car at one point. And he makes this movie where he's a very violent character, really good. I actually watched that in a hotel room recently. It was on, so I was watching it. He's really good in it. And then I guess there's one of the many shootings that we have in this country, and he like it's like, okay, dude, but like a lot of people worked on that movie. A lot of people were in that movie. Doesn't mean like that's to me that's such old school 90s Tipper Gore talking points. Like you made a violent movie and then there's a shooting, so you denounce it. Like what kind of liberal is that?
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So no act.
But Sonic the Hedgehog 2 looks really good though. So I don't know.
Did you see the first? No. But did you see the first one?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, you didn't? It actually was not as bad. It was not that bad.
That's what I heard from people, that it was
not. It was pretty. I mean, for a video game movie, I think it's pretty low bars.
Yeah.
Like pretty low bar for a video game movie. I actually like it.
All right.
That's quite the sneeze. It's in tight.
Thank you.
So yeah, I can't think of any actors or actresses, and there's a lot that I cannot stand.
And here's the thing: I think with Jim Carrey, like it's not so much that I'll never see another Jim Carrey movie, but I think anything going forward, I would just be kind of like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like you're just kind of a, like I might put on The Mask at some point where he was not an obnoxious political figure; he was just obnoxious. But
yeah,
but if it's anything like now where he is just like, yeah, and in his later years he just kind of just became really bland and political, and yeah, I don't think I'll watch Sonic 2.
All right, well,
maybe not even Sonic 1.
That was pretty good.
So
Stephen King. So the verdict is I don't know if I feel like a hypocrite here, but I took the books off my list.
Yeah,
it's a big deal.
Do you have any Stephen King books on your premises?
Yeah.
Are you gonna throw them out?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
No, that's akin to I'm not going to, but if I were to, I would donate them.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't. To me, I did throw out one book once. I kind of feel bad saying that.
Oh, really? Which
it was like a history book about the Crusades, and it was just like so inaccurate and biased. And even I looked at the reviews. I'm like, am I wrong here? I looked at the reviews and people are like, look, I'm pretty liberal, but this book is just like Crusaders bad, Muslims good. Like, no, like anything in history was very complicated.
Yeah,
both sides committed crime. Like, but it was so, and it was, of course, it was like, and King Arthur's gay, or not King Arthur, Richard the Lionheart's gay, which he might have been, but it was like, okay.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, no one's going to benefit from this book.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I was angry. And then when it's in the garbage, I'm not going to fish it out.
All right.
But no,
Cool.
I wouldn't throw out I only have like one or two.
Yeah.
But I know I have the Running Man. I can't remember if I have anything else right now.
Yeah, I got a few, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'll keep them. Now, I might. I'll probably, if I ever return to Stephen King, because even though like I've enjoyed the books that of his that I've read, like it's not like he's my favorite, so it's not like I'm in a rush to go out and buy something. But if it's something where it's like I'm at a bookstore and I see something used for 12 cents, I might be like, yeah, what the hell?
For Stephen King?
Yeah, I might.
Yeah, I know. I don't. Maybe I will put him back on at some point, but
Here's the thing,
now,
I'm definitely.
you got next.
I'm not following him anymore. because I think.
Oh yeah,
that
I stopped following him years ago.
Yeah, that taints my image of him, where it's just sort of like he's got stupid views, but I don't hear about them, so it makes it easier for me to appreciate the art more than the artist. But because I mean, like 99% of like celebrities that we see in movies and TV shows these days have stupid political views. So it's like, but as long as I don't hear about them, it's like it's not really going to impact my decision to go support them in any way.
Yeah, it was more of that. Like, I don't even care that you have a lot of the same establishment crit lib bullshit views, but this one, like, I stand with Nina Jankowicz. Like, what that stands for, the Disinformation Governance Board, to me is just like so not what someone like someone in Stephen King's position, what he has written should be literally standing for. Like, I stand with like.
You would think that someone
got to me.
Someone who's made a career out of writing fiction would be aware of the dangers of having someone like monitoring what's fiction and what's not. You would think.
And I should say it's not always that these crits appear on my timeline. Like sometimes they are and I know Twitter has gotten a lot more aggressive with that. Like they want you to see it because it's popular. For good or bad reasons. But I saw it because Michael Malice tweeted something at him like. Yeah,
and he ratioed the fuck out of him too, man.
Like, what was it? You made a living of supporting monsters or something like that. So, I love Michael Malice. He's a great guy. Great listen.
Yeah, of course you do. Your entire career spent writing about monsters. Yes, and it's funny. So Stephen King's tweet about Nina Jankowicz, it's got 2,432 likes. Michael Malice's tweet has 12,300 likes, so it's like
you got ratioed, and that I don't know, it just bothered me.
I don't know if you see in the doc. It reminded me of a quote from Team America: World Police. It was Janine Garofalo's character, like the puppet of Janine Garofalo. As actors, it is our responsibility to read the newspapers and then say what we read on television like it's our own opinion. It's like that's so accurate with this thing. It's like I stand with like there's that meme. It's like I support the current thing, right?
Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is. I support the current thing. That's a perfect example of it.
And there's a pic here on Stephen King's timeline of him wearing a blue and yellow shirt that says "I stand with Ukraine," and it's sort of like, I'm supporting them. And it's like, dude, look at you being all rebellious and resistance-full.
It's so like, okay, it's
how daring.
It's not a very controversial position to take.
Yes, and also again, like I stand with or I support. So like how? Like what are you going over there and like?
Go stand with them. Go stand with them in the food lines and the line of fire.
Oh. But anyway, he's also been mouthing off about abortion, and
of course, because that's the current thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I doubt he's looked at what Roe v. Wade is or what this means. And again, I'm not saying whether I support it or I'm in disagreement with it. I'm just saying I'm commenting more on his ignorance. Like, I doubt he knows anything about what Roe v. Wade is and what it's about and what repealing it will entail. Like, I doubt he knows much about that at all.
Yeah, to me, I don't care. Like, I don't care as much about that stuff, whether I agree or disagree. Right. It was more of when you start standing with the disinformation czar, like then you're entering my territory. Like this is where I have fine lines here. One of the few things where it's like, okay, you don't cross these lines. If you do, like, you're my enemy. Like there's no other way for me to look at it. Not abortion, not the vast majority of things, but that is like, okay, you're done. That's it. You're done.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. What else do you want to talk about?
Jimi Hendrix, and
Who's that?
he's this guy. He played the fiddle, I think, in some band, some folk rock band, I think, in the '60s.
Yeah, was he good?
Eh.
Was all right.
Eh.
All right.
No.
What about Jimmy?
So this is actually an article that you tagged me on. It was on Twitter. This was a collection of looks like some like journal entries and interviews. It's kind of like a weird slap together article, just random notes from Hendrix himself. But it was this was published in the Guardian in 2013, so before a lot of all this woke shit really fucked the culture over. And there's something really interesting here. I won't read the full quote all in once, but we can just kind of go through a couple sentences at a time here. Jimi Hendrix died in 1970, and so the Civil Rights Act, I believe, was enacted in 1964. So this was still at a time when things were a lot harder for blacks. Like it was like just because the Civil Rights, the Civil Rights Act had been enacted, doesn't mean that overnight things just went great for blacks. It's like, no, there was still a lot of racial tensions in the country. But here's what Jimi Hendrix has to say. Race isn't a problem in my world. I don't look at things in terms of races. I look at things in terms of people. I'm not thinking about black people or white people. I'm thinking about the obsolete and the new. There's no color part now, no black and white. The frustrations and riots going on today are all about more personal things. Everybody has wars within themselves, so they form different things, and it comes out as a war against other people. They get justified as they justify others in their attempts to get personal freedom. That's all it is. It's crazy that when
sounds like a white supremacist to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bold statement to make in the mid to late 1960s, because things actually were worse for blacks. But for him to say I don't care about race, for a prominent black person to say I don't care about race, it just doesn't enter my thinking. Meanwhile, you have Ibram X. Kendi making $20,000 an hour, teaching anti-racism classes and talking about how racism is everywhere and there's systemic racism.
I mean, that's the I don't know. Well, what's the word I'm looking for? That's the conundrum here, or the race relations have gotten unimaginably better.
Yes.
Since 1964. I mean, I think it's an understatement to say that things didn't get better overnight. That's that was the Civil Rights Act. They still had to pass the Voting Rights Act. And lots of people died in really horrific ways for a very long time, even after that. And tensions were, I mean, there's still segregation, right? There's still segregation into, was there in the 60s? No, not okay. So that, not then, but there was into the 60s.
Yeah.
And you have people like Jimi Hendrix, who was in a very countercultural position.
Yeah.
He's from Seattle. He was a rock star.
Yeah.
Drug user. And he's saying something like that. It's almost unimaginable to think that he would be saying that then. And then you have people like you said, like Kendi, saying the complete opposite in an era where it's incredibly bad. It's almost like a different country.
Right.
I mean, there were parts of the country then. I mean, Martin Luther King was assassinated in 67, 68. And we had a black president 12, 14 years ago. And
here's the thing. If I'd have read a quote from Jimi Hendrix from that time of him kind of, venting his frustrations about being black in America, I would totally understand it. Yeah, man, that was in the 60s. There was still a lot of progress that needed to be made, man. I totally see where you're coming from. But the fact for him to be nah, I don't race, this is silly. I don't care about skin color. I care about people. It's holy shit, man. You were decades ahead of so many things that were going on in your era. And there's another quote here where he's talking about the Black Panthers. It isn't that I'm not related to the Black Panthers. I naturally feel a part of what they're doing in certain respects. Somebody has to make a move, and we're the ones hurting most as far as peace of mind and living are concerned. But I'm not for the aggression or violence or whatever you want to call it. I'm not for guerrilla warfare, not frustrated things like throwing little cocktail bottles here and there or breaking up a store window. That's nothing, especially in your own neighborhood. I mean, he could be talking about, Black Lives Matter, protests today. I mean, where it's sort of like, I can understand, the changes that they want. Like, yeah, like there are still a lot of police reforms that I'm in favor of. But when they start trashing their own neighborhoods, and demanding, peace and equality, it's like, so in the article that I wrote, I mentioned how Black Lives, like BLM protests, have caused billions of dollars in damages, and how. Oh, and then there's an NPR article here that I linked to, where some of the leaders of the movement bought a mansion, and so that where quote unquote Black creatives could come and create their art and influence things for the movement.
Oh yeah, I mean, Black Lives Matter is a racket. We all know that. I think they received $90 million or something, and 60 million's unaccounted for. I'm not positive. I know it's 2/3 of whatever they've received, and none. And when I say Black Lives Matter, I mean the National Foundation. Who are these people who are just swindlers and who bought, I think it was several mansions. I don't even think it was one. I know there was that one that's supposed to be, it's just money laundering, and it's just greed. Like the money didn't go to any of the local chapters. You had like legit activists, whether you agree with them or not, who were homeless and were living in cars. Meanwhile, the top brass is buying several homes, that if you remember when this was reported in the New York Post the first time, it was taken down by Facebook. Like you couldn't share it they said something about like it wasn't doxing. I don't think they had addresses on it, but it's obviously newsworthy considering many people donated lots of money to this organization. But hey, what you gonna do?
But that's it's nuts that we're living in this time where it's where people are profiting off of making things seem out to be much more racist than they actually are. And decades ago, when things actually were much more racist than they are today, someone was saying like, this is silly, like I'm not going to participate in it.
I don't know. I've only heard that. I guess it's all relative. It doesn't mean that racist things don't happen. Doesn't mean that there aren't still problems.
Right.
But because I don't even say because life has gotten so comfortable, because a lot of people are hurt. Like right now really sucks for a lot of people. But these kind of social issues, I guess now there's an argument for abortion, but a lot of these other social issues, things have gotten so good. People have become so much more accepting of so many different types of people that they need a telos, like they need a reason to exist. For a lot of people, their reason for existing is their enemy. Frank Herbert, it's the quote I use in the beginning of my book, of my most recent book. What do you despise? By this you are truly known. Like that's what Trump was to so many people. He was this force, this like hot force of attraction for so many people's frustrations and anger, whether they were merited or not. And the same, I mean, you see it with things like so many gay rights movements. Once gay marriage was achieved federally, there was a switch to trans rights because it was like the next thing they couldn't just dissolve. That's people's jobs, that's their whole organization, so they had to find the next thing. I mean, that's kind of what it's a lot of grifting, and race grifting. We have a unique relationship with race in this country, and a lot of people prey on that. There's the whole like, I mean, the DEI coordinators, it's becoming a whole industry. I I don't even know. I feel pretty confident in saying it's a waste of money. Now,
It is. It absolutely is.
right. Now, that's one thing. A lot of things are a waste of money, right?
Yeah, sure.
Is it even a net benefit? I don't even know necessarily if or like a net benefit. I think a lot of people get along just fine. And sometimes there's some awkward situations and you work them out and you talk them out. And that's just being human. And I think the hyper focus on everything and introducing everything like microaggressions and sensitivity trainings and all of this, it really makes people not want to connect with each other because they're so afraid of offense, and makes people more distant or stick to their own. Yeah. Right. Because it's like, well, fuck, like I don't want to say something offensive, so I won't even try to connect with this person of a different race or gender.
Right. Right.
It puts everything under a microscope. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you familiar with Chloe Valdery and the Theory of Enchantment?
100%, yeah.
So I listened to her on Jordan Peterson, and so her organization, I guess, or her program, the Theory of Enchantment. She was talking about how she often gets called in, like businesses and corporations often call her in to fix the problems that were caused by other, more woke diversity and inclusion.
Oh, really?
Yes. She said it's like, she goes, like most of the times, like most of the companies that I consult for, they don't do that, but like it's fairly common.
That's interesting.
Like, yeah,
because I've said if I don't even want to get into it, but basically I would show, I'm going to speak conditionally here. Yeah. If I worked for a company that was looking to DEI coordinate, I would point them towards Chloe Valdery. Yes. Am I saying her name right? Valdery? Yeah. I was sure if there's an L or not.
Yeah, there's an L, yeah.
One, she's from New Orleans, which is awesome. Yep. And two, I love her whole ideology with this is like way more about connecting and forgiveness and using art and culture and not shaming, not struggle sessions, not pointing out everyone's faults, not divisiveness. So that's fine. I should listen to that because it's like she's kind of the cleanup crew.
Exactly. It was really fascinating. So I generally like her. I think sometimes she gets a little too hippy dippy.
Yeah, she definitely seems very spiritual.
Yeah,
spiritual with it.
But I mean, if I was forced at gunpoint to like take a diversity class or something, it's like, I'll go with that. I'll go with Chloe Valdery's.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, you're right, because like ultimately, from what I understand, her approach to diversity and inclusion and tolerance is it's colorblind and it's humanist. So it's more just like just seeing the value of people as individuals, not just as like part of this, part of the demographic of a race, gender.
That's like, and that's the exact opposite of what so many of these other ones teach. Like so many other ones are deciding who's the oppressor and who's the victim. How your role, whether it's intrinsic or a superficial or whatever it is, it plays into a larger system of oppression, which is they basically just constantly catch you in catch-22s and arguable points. That's the whole white fragility thing. It's like, well, if you admit it, then you're admitting that you're part of the system and you're a white oppressor. And if you don't admit it, well, that's just proof.
That's your fragility.
That's your fragility. So that obviously, when you don't use logic to prove a point, people are just going to freak out, understandably. It's like, well, I can't do anything. I didn't think I did anything wrong. Right. And you can't point to anything I actually did, or it's just like who I am. And a lot of people don't tolerate that. And unfortunately, it seems like corporate America isn't riding with the vibe check that's going on. I think like most people are over a lot of this shit. I think that the pendulum has swung. I think a lot of people were open to it. I didn't even put myself in that. There was probably a point during the Great Awakening where it was like, I don't agree with anything, but I'm open to hearing some things. Like for dialogue and seeing what some other people saying, and then very quickly it just turned into. It just showed like it wasn't even about equality. It wasn't about justice. It was about grifting and making money.
Yes.
And just getting ahead. Like that's all it was. And
right.
that's honestly like I'm okay with that in the sense that everyone fucking does that.
Right.
We shouldn't treat them any differently.
Yeah,
Like, it's the same shit. Like people just want jobs, they want to work.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's going to be a whole industry based on white guilt or whatever you want to call it, or diversity, or changing, making sure people comply with these rules that are new and not voted on or even have a consensus, but just because you've decided, well, people are going to fill that void.
Right.
Like this country is built on grifters. Like that's the whole, So anyway, I'm kind of got derailed there, but Jimi Hendrix, would be very upset today.
Yeah, well, exactly. And like just like the stark contrast of the things that today's pop stars are speaking out against today versus back in the 60s and 70s, where there was like more things to speak out against. The Vietnam War, there was actual censorship, and there were a lot like bigger issues to speak out against. But nowadays, it's like speaking out against white privilege or getting back to the Janine Garofalo Team America thing, and just sort of like, oh, like this thing seems bad, I'm gonna read this article and just repeat it, sort of thing.
It's almost like the fervor never leaves.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm being too broad here, but it's like it's just, what are you angry about? What are you mobilizing about?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe more like recent American history, at least.
Right.
It's like people are always pissed about something. You have it on different sides.
Mm-hmm.
There's always that kind of nascent ardor to get behind a cause, like an unjust cause, whether it's the right, for years, for like 60 years, the right was fighting the abortion fight. That might be an example of the right wing kind of losing one of their biggest. If Roe gets overturned, I don't know if it's just going to be like, well, it goes to the states now. And this, I think there's, following the same logic that we've been discussing, how people just need that. It's hard for people to stop. Because all right, mission accomplished. No, it's going to be, well, this is fine for Arkansas and Texas and Alabama, but no, we need to end abortion in New York. We need to end abortion in Oregon and Vermont. So I think it'll just go to that. Whether it'll be successful or not, who knows? But people just need it. Like that's a right wing version of. I think there's a lot more on the left.
Yeah.
I don't think the right has the same culture war. There's been more of it recently, but overall, the culture war has been much more fun on the left, and the right just trying to maintain as much of the status quo as possible, while the left chips away at it. The right is really bad at culture. Like, they're really bad. I think a little of that is changing. I will say that.
Yeah.
But the right's really bad at fighting the culture war.
Yeah.
Besides abortion. Abortion's like the one, which even a lot of the right doesn't really care about an abortion anymore. Not like a total ban of it.
Yeah.
Polling, I think like 20 to 25% of Americans want to totally ban abortion, like at any time.
Sure.
So that's not really a winning contingent.
Yeah. But speaking of the diversity and inclusion stuff, there's another article. Well, this is one from yours truly.
Love me some articles. Oh, yours? Fine.
So we've talked quite a bit about diversity and inclusion and like when it's being forced, and in particular, like when it's being forced in our institutions and regarding like in the arts and in pop culture. And how it's seen as like this virtuous thing that's been missing for a long time, but only now have we discovered that diversity and inclusion are good things. And so as you guys can probably tell by my hairstyle, I am a metalhead, and I couldn't help but notice, again, only now, which is a big part of like the point of the article. Heavy metal has been pretty diverse for like since heavy metal's been since heavy metal's inception, but like nobody noticed or cared that the singer for Judas Priest was gay. I mean, maybe they noticed, but they didn't care. It was kind of obvious.
Well, when he started sucking that dick on stage that one time, I think people took notice.
Back in '67, yeah.
I mean, who wasn't sucking dick in '67? Summer is a summer of love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right. Wasn't '67 the summer of love?
From what I understand, yeah. And then '68 was a summer of hate. But
no, '69 was the summer of. Speaking of Roman Polanski, the Sharon Tate murders and Tate murder, and that was the year everyone was like, "All right, maybe it's got a little out of hand." I mean, the government was behind all of it, but I won't get into that. I won't go into that. How the
no more solo rants for
Operation Chaos and completely infiltrated all the counterculture to discredit it. But hey, whatever.
Yeah,
I won't get into that this episode.
Drew Ultra, you should put like an MK in front of that Ultra.
Yeah, well, BLMK Ultra was my favorite when the CIA was like, "We're DEIing our." It's like, oh, great! So a queer Latinx them can poison our cities, can overthrow some Central American government. Fine, all right.
Anyways. But Metallica, the biggest heavy metal band of all time in the whole world.
Bunch of pussies.
Well, they're very popular pussies.
I just love that. I love that. Real quick sidebar. It was a show that I had to stop watching because it got too gross. But a Tosh.0.
Oh yeah.
Where it had a kid who's like headbanging in a Slayer shirt, and he was like, he's wearing a Slayer t-shirt, but he headbangs like those pussies from Metallica. I don't know when a metal band goes on, I know that like was their downfall. One of the things was like when a metal band goes on like national TV during group therapy, it's like, okay, you kind of lose your metal card. Yeah. Like go find your therapy at the bottom of a Jack Daniels bottle, like the rest of us.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also in a screamo band.
No,
I don't know if you knew that. Lead singer.
Yeah, I've heard you sing, and
were you into screamo? Did you into screamo? No,
wait, man, wasn't diverse enough.
Well, in your defense, was pretty white. So screamo's pretty white. One of my favorite screamo bands was not that I really liked a lot of it, but was a band from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They were Texas in July.
I've never heard of them.
You should listen to Hook, Line, and Sinner. That good song. I mean, it's screamo, but it's good instrumentals.
Yeah, I'll be sure to not do that.
How about Slipknot? Were you in a Slipknot?
No.
Well, you were in a Slipknot? Oh, what kind of? All right, fine.
Yeah, well, like whenever it got into metal, like I just jumped right into the good stuff.
So not new metal?
No. Well, I was into a little bit for like a year. I was into like yeah. Like I was just like Godsmack.
Everyone likes Godsmack. That's like one of the worst new metal bands.
Disturbed, and some of those shitty ones. POD.
Whoa! Don't talk shit about POD. First of all, they were like Christian new metal.
But I got out of that. It was only a 1 year bout.
It was a wild year.
Yeah.
We all went through a new metal phase if you were around our age. I tweeted recently. I'm like, does anyone happen to my my Slipknot t-shirts from high school? I'm looking for them. Can't find them.
Yeah, I don't think you need those.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
All right. What do you talking about Metallica?
Yeah. Well, anyway, Kirk Hammett, the lead guitarist from Metallica, he's Filipino. Slayer, their lead vocalist and bassist is from Chile.
Slayer?
Guns N' Roses. Yeah. Slash from Guns N' Roses. He's half black. Rage Against the Machine, the singer, what's his name? He's
Slash
Mexican.
is half black?
Yeah.
Wait, Zach De La Rocha?
Yeah, he's Hispanic.
Yeah, and Tom Morello is half black also.
That's right. Yeah, but my point is, and there are so many other examples in like heavy metal.
I think their
punk,
guitarist was
rock,
also Latino, but I don't know.
Of heavy metal, hard rock, punk rock bands that have been diverse for decades, and like fans just never like you never. It seemed like you never really saw articles about like, the lack of represent. Here's an interview with this guitarist about what it's like being Hispanic or Asian in the heavy metal community. Like, it's just people didn't notice because they didn't care. It was just like, and the reason why I brought this up is like, first of all, it's like they just did it. It was just like, can you scream loud? Can you play fast? Can you drink a lot?
Yeah.
Okay, you're in the band.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you have companies, major companies that are spending millions, tens of millions, and even hundreds of millions of dollars on whole diversity and inclusion like departments and initiatives, and they do almost nothing. Like not even from a superficial perspective where it's like, yeah, hey, guess what? From 2015 to 2017, we increased the black the black workforce by 3.2%. It's the most like it's like that's where all the money's going towards. It's just gradually decreasing the white male population of of the business. But it's sort of like, yeah, when you look at the heavy metal scene, like it's been pretty tolerant and diverse without any, and like there was no effort being put towards it. They just did it.
Well, I mean, yeah, we've said how many times it's the corporations and organizations love this shit because it's really not. It's not hard for them. They basically expand HR to make some superficial changes, put some, people of certain colors or genders on the board. They keep fucking everyone, right? It's not like they change any policies to help their workers who are probably overly represented. Like the workforce is usually much more diverse than the management. Like look at Amazon, for instance.
Right.
Most of like the management is usually much whiter, and so they just get to put some people. They don't change the policy. They don't get like new perspectives. Especially Amazon doesn't even hire from within the vast majority of the time. So it's not like they're taking people from you can work your way up. That's not how they operate.
Right.
They'll just hire some Ivy League black person to come sit on their board or into management to still fuck everyone else. They don't care. So it's very easy. They get to put the banner, I stand with, we support this, right? Amazon will pay for abortions, or these companies are like saying they're going to pledge to pay for abortions. And okay, well, your employees are like shitting in bags to make times. You're firing them with an email. Right. You're working them to, I don't want to go into labor, Ben, but the point is that this is very easy. If you want to make your company or organization a better place for even just your BIPOC plus workers. Well, I don't know, give them better benefits.
Right.
Give them better hours. Pay them more. It's like, don't just hire someone to come in and say that they're victims. If anything, it's just going to create divisions between people who really should be in solidarity. They love it because it starts dividing people along racial and gender lines instead of should be as class lines.
Right.
But they don't like that for obvious reasons. I think anyone could put that together. But this, they love this shit. Like you start getting, then the Latino workers are over here and the black workers are over here and the white workers, and it just keeps everyone fighting amongst each other while, the top brass fucks them. So I don't know. And especially with like universities, it's like, first of all, does a place need these coordinators less than like a university?
Right.
Maybe Hollywood, but like, do these play? And there's finally been talk, I mean, for the past few years, but about the bloated administrations of these universities. What do? They start just expanding them with six-figure DEI workers, coordinators. It's like, it's the last thing on the fucking planet that Yale needs is a DEI coordinator. In fact, I saw, it's anecdotal, but I saw like Yale Law School is really just going off the rails. And I saw people who are like lawyers on Twitter being like, we wouldn't even hire from Yale anymore. Like Yale, that used to be a meal ticket to immediate six-figure income. And now you have firms being like, why? And to be honest, I don't blame them. Why would you? Why would you? Like, you can get brilliant students, law graduates from other schools that aren't going to probably sue you one day for like discrimination. Just make your workplace like bring activism into the workplace when we're trying to run a business. So I don't know. I can't stand it. It seems very disingenuous and
just run your business like your Slayer, like just
run your business like your Slayer. Rain and blood, baby.
Oh man.
That was always one of the most fun songs to play on Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah.
Or Rock Band, whichever one it was.
Yeah.
Because it was just like green, 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 green.
You know, I was always really bad at those games.
Well, you're not very good at guitar.
I know. Yeah, that's probably why.
I'm joking. Are you actually a guitarist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a lead singer, so.
Yeah. The singer.
Yeah, those are always fun though. I like that. That's a big part of high school for me.
Yeah.
I don't think I've played it since, but
Yeah.
a lot of late nights on the. I was a big drums guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right, what should we talk about next?
That's all I really have.
Is that what you want to talk about?
That's all I have on the thing.
All right. Well, I have a Robespierre of the week.
Oh yeah.
This is Matt Gabriel. So I wrote this down, and I kind of forgot a lot of what happened. It's kind of late for me to research now, but basically he's like a medievalist, some type of medieval historian. Like every other sector of society, there's been a crit contingent that has crept its way into this area. He's definitely one of them, which is, of course, why he got Robespierre. That's what it is. If he wasn't, he wouldn't be Robespierre at all because he wasn't part of them. But he basically supported something that was totally not racist and criticized someone who said it was, and then the apology is like chef's kiss, typical, I want to be clear, I stand against racism in all forms, I'm taking the time to, the usual kind of bullshit. Yeah, I probably could have done a better job on this one, remembering the details. I know I'll plug another podcast here. Blockchain Reported talked about it. And that was earlier in the week. And I was like, oh, that's a good Robespierre of the week. That really fits. And I totally forgot. So Matt Gabriel, look him up if you're interested, but he's been added to the list. No Nazi jars this week. But there will always be Nazi jars. I started DMing people who have brought up Nazi and or Holocaust and or Hitler. So, and inaccurate and non-contextual ways. Cool. But there were none this week, which is rare.
Yeah. So, but since you've been reaching out to people, does it mean that our coffers will soon be filled with that sweet Nazi money?
Well, Jeff Jarvis, no, not Nazi money. That's the point. Remember, this is because they were so evil and horrible that any comparisons are 99.9% of the time ill-conceived. Yeah. But Jeff Jarvis was the last one. His was kind of like sneaky Nazi. It was when Elon Musk was buying Twitter. He said it felt like the last night of the Weimar Republic.
Oh, that's right.
So and I don't feel bad about. And I decided I think I'm only gonna do blue checks or really popular not blue checks. But I checked. He's a blue check.
Okay, good. You blue checked him. Yeah, I remember this. So this is back when Trump was still president, but there were some, I think it was a journalist or author, and he had he tweeted out this this comparison graph between Trump and Hitler. And this guy and the guy was actually was obviously like a progressive woke person, but he was making Hitler out to be better than Trump. But it was which one wrote his own books? Hitler, whereas Trump. It was just Trump had to get a ghostwriter.
At least Hitler could write his own crazy shit.
Which one served in the military? Hitler, not Trump. He was the one dodging it. It was sort of dude, why are you making Hitler out to be the better guy?
I don't think you know what you're doing right now. You're gonna make people go maybe that Hitler character had a few good ideas. He's not so bad.
Which one was in favor of universal health care? Hitler, but it was just sort of dude, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, Hitler was a vegetarian. Yeah.
Oh man, it was so bad.
So it's a little early, but Not who would you vote for? To be honest, I don't know how anyone could possibly vote for the Democratic Party at this point. I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for like a socialist party or like a true left-wing party, but I don't see how anyone in their right mind could vote. Maybe you vote for the Democrats, but I don't. They just have absolutely nothing going for them at all. Yeah. They're just they're like the epitome of the kind of party that I can't stand. In economics and ideology and culture, for the most part. But I don't know. It's kind of fun when Trump's around.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not saying I'd vote for him. I really don't like him as a president. He's extremely divisive, but it does drive a lot of people crazy, and it might be fun.
I didn't vote in 2020, but I was pretty close. I was considering voting for Trump.
Yeah.
Mostly just because I wanted to see him on Twitter and just be like, man, I can't wait to see all the shit he's gonna be saying for the next 4 years.
Well, he was
not that I agree with it, just because he was fun. He was fun to follow.
He's the president. He called someone a horse face.
Yeah,
like it's because I'm. So let me take a step back here. I'm so. And this isn't an original. This is something that came out recently, but I totally agree. Basically, Congress is a glorified arms dealer. Yeah. Our government is just nothing but leeches and in the pockets of lobbyists. They really don't stand for any. Very few people in Congress and in our government actually stand for anything.
Yeah.
And I mean like actually stand, not like I stand for the Ukraine. Like no, like actually stand for like their principles and vote that way. So I'm not one of those like burn it all down type people, but I'm like, to me, let's at least make it fun.
Yeah.
Like let's at least have fun with it because I don't know. We had Trump for 4 years. There's some crazy shit. I think a lot of it, some was his fault, some was not his fault. Some was Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
And I mean, fuck, dude, Biden's he's a corpse. It's Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
He didn't do, and they're so smug.
Yeah.
They're so, the adults are in charge now. Well, what, we're not doing very well. No. Like, I don't know. I feel like if it's Trump, Biden, I don't know. How could you vote for, how could Biden run? I don't, you know what? We got some time, but I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I think it could be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be.
I didn't vote in 2020 either.
Yeah.
I came close to voting for Biden or Trump. There were times where I was like, not both, God, not both at the same time. But the time I was like, I'm gonna vote for Biden. I want some normalcy back.
Yeah.
Trump broke so many brains, and then Biden did a lot of dumb shit, and the Democrats are fucking terrible. So I was like, maybe I'll vote for Trump. But I didn't vote for either of them.
No. Speaking of, what do you think of Ashton Kutcher?
Well, I think of Ashton Kutcher. Where did that come from? I like that he went to Iowa, so I'm a fan of that. That's the wrong one.
Okay.
Go Hawks. Well, you can't really see it. Go Hawks. He's from Iowa. I believe he went to Iowa. I think he went to Iowa. I know that he supports the Iowa Hawkeyes. I liked him on that 70s show.
Okay.
Why? What do you think of Ashton Kutcher?
I don't care much for him. I will say he does look like Steve Jobs in that one movie, Jobs. And I bring this up because actually I was looking for a better way to segue from Trump and Biden to this other topic, and maybe we can even do like a full episode about this. But I just started really getting into movies about like lone geniuses and the way genius is portrayed in like movies and TV shows. And the way it's not portrayed. And so I watched the Jobs movie with Ashton Kutcher, and then I watched the Steve Jobs movie with Michael
I was gonna say, isn't that not even like the best one about him?
Yeah. I watched the Fassbender one first because it was on Netflix, and I really enjoyed that one. But it's funny because like the performances are exactly like they're diametrically opposed. Fassbender looks nothing like Steve Jobs, but he did a much better acting job. Yeah. Whereas Ashton Kutcher looks a lot like Steve Jobs, but his acting was not very good. I mean, it was super. There are a few. He had a few highlights, but yeah, no, the Fassbender's a better actor.
So you're watching movies about, what'd you say?
Lone geniuses.
Lone geniuses.
Yeah.
So what's another example?
Moneyball.
Moneyball. You know, I never saw that.
That's a good one. Like you would probably like it. Like I'm not much into sports drama,
Yeah.
but it was written by Aaron Sorkin, who also wrote
Yeah.
the Steve Jobs movie. So they did a good job. He did a good job of like taking a genre I don't care much for and making it fun and interesting. I don't know. I've just been kind of thinking about the way geniuses are portrayed, specifically lone geniuses, like where people were like throughout their whole careers, they people kept telling them, you can't do that. That's impossible. And then like, yeah, well, watch me do it. And then like it ends up paying off.
Right. What
I
about,
don't know.
what about Rainmaker or Rain Man?
Oh, Rain Man was good.
Rain Man was
But
good.
yeah, I mean, I guess he was definitely very smart. But we're talking about Tom Cruise's character, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Tom Cruise's character. I like Rain Man a lot, actually.
That's a good one, yeah.
All right, well, I will be on the lookout for any Lone Geniuses movies.
Yeah.
That's
but like just like the way it's portrayed in movies, though.
Okay.
I've been really fascinated because I mean, like, it's hard to make that interesting, I think, because like a lot of genius is just like you sitting down and writing, and it's just like, yeah, how do you make that cinematic? How do you make that interesting? Like, how do you convey?
Well, usually it's like, their genius is at the expense of like sociability,
right?
Like I mean, what about Elon Musk?
Right.
Like, he definitely is kind of awkward.
Yes.
And I don't know, but he's also social in the sense like he's a troll, which is fucking hysterical.
I know, yeah. Like
the richest man in the world is a troll. I mean, we can talk. We are Twitter creatures. That is, I mean, we owe a lot to Twitter because then that's how we met.
Yeah.
And it was love at first. It was love at first reply guy.
Yeah.
But like I think we have to be skeptical of any billionaire.
Yeah.
Of course. My personal belief is I don't know if we should have billionaires, but if there's going to be a billionaire to own Twitter, I think he's one of the best ones.
Yes.
I think he has some shady dealings with China and with the government of Qatar, which is like he stood up to the Saudis, which it's great. I've been fucking sounding the alarms on the Saudis for years.
You lone genius, you.
And right. Well, I mean that's where I was getting at. I'm a lone genius. I'm a very stable genius.
Or you're alone.
But I'm alone. I'm a lone genius. Well, I'm a cat. So you're never alone when you have cats. So and where's it going with this? Oh yeah, and then he like did something with the government of Qatar, Qatar, who's basically who's a Saudi Arabia mini. I don't want to say Saudi Arabia light, but they're just as evil. They're just smaller.
Yeah.
But anyway, that aside, hey, if he makes it a better platform for free speech, I'm all for it. Because if he's not going to own it, someone else is going to fucking own it, right?
Right.
And all these crits who are yelling about billionaires owning shit. I mean, op-eds in the Washington Post owned by the second richest billionaire, second richest man in the world or something. They're all fucking full of it. It's all about ideology. So hey, I'm all for it. I love it. I hope he fucking clears house. I hope he moves it out of that horrible, terrible place. Probably the worst place in the entire country, the Bay Area, where anyone who's from that area, I don't know anyone who's from that area. It's just a shitty, dumb area where everyone sucks. Even if you don't live there now. See, I feel like I can say that and get away with it because I'm from New Jersey. So it's like,
I know you guys are punching up.
Yeah, I'm punching up. I'm the victim here. I'm just berating you for something you had no control over. Man, this feels good.
Somebody took a video of like flying over New Jersey, and it was like Mad Max, man. Like, how do you guys live like that? Like, it was just like a wasteland. It was just like
only strong survive, baby.
Is that just like a backdrop? Like, that's not even a house. It's just like a hovel. It's like a dirt, ditch, and it's got a green screen. Like, yeah, I live in a house, a nice house in a neighborhood.
Yeah, this isn't really here. Where am I over here?
Yeah, it's just all like like leaking like radiation, and like all of your squirrels have 3 eyes, and your piece is not very good either. That's probably one of the few. That's
Whoa,
probably,
whoa.
I take it back.
Look,
I take it back.
when you wanted to call us a dirt-covered hovel cesspool full of radiation, I was fine with that.
Yeah.
But when you, don't come for the pizza.
No, I immediately caught myself like, no, the pizza's probably
that's
good.
too far. That's a bridge too far.
I'm sorry, New Jerseyans.
I'm kidding. The Bay Area is fine.
I would have disagreed with you like a week ago, but when I visited, I was like, yeah.
Oh yeah, you were. How was being back?
It was good. I got to see Doctor Strange.
Did you have a Hispanic adventure?
Yeah, because my sister's birthday is on Cinco de Mayo.
Was there a quinceañera?
No. She's like twice the age of that.
I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
But we did go to a Brazilian steakhouse.
Brazilian steakhouse? It does fucking Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, we purposefully do not do Mexican stuff on Cinco de Mayo because it's just like,
oh really?
Yeah, just like it's gonna be packed and it's gonna be loud and crazy, and then like
that's legit.
Yeah, so we're gonna do something. But I mean, Brazil's it's like below Mexico.
That's it is below Mexico
geographically.
I guess that counts. Yeah, I love Brazil. Actually, not many people go to Newark. They usually leave Newark from work or from the airport. But Newark does have a great street with a lot of Portuguese and Brazilian restaurants called Ferry Street. It's one like the few draws for like to actually go into Newark to enjoy the city. Yeah. So have you ever there?
Yeah. Next time I go there, I'll just ask for directions on how to get away from there. Like that's why I would go.
I mean, that's most people. Hey, some of it's nice.
No, I know, yeah. I'm sure it's fun. Yeah. New York, yeah. I saw Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the new Marvel movie.
Yeah, how was it?
I think it was much better than anything that came out of New Jersey. No, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was very fun. The reason, so Sam Raimi directed it.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Okay, I like
Which
him.
was interesting because
I saw Bruce Campbell in an episode of AP Bio. Actually, it's kind of weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, you'll love Doctor Strange the Marvel.
Dude, I told you, I'm just like, I don't mean to be the guy, but I'm becoming the guy who's like, oh my god, like fucking. If I see another person in a cape,
yeah,
like
it's not a cape; it's a cloak. Stupid, God, fucking idiot.
It's not a cape; it's a cloak.
God.
That's the title for this episode. Cape. Fine, a cloak is just a villain cape. That's all it is.
He's a doctor. He's got the hypocritical oath or whatever.
Yeah, well, so is Dr. Fauci. So he's a villain. Put him in a cloak.
But it is cool because other than like James Gunn and Taika Waititi, like there are no directors have really stood out in Marvel. Like they're all just kind of like kind of direct the same sort of house style. And when I was watching this, because I've seen all the Evil Dead movies and the Spider-Man movies and everything, so like I'm on the lookout for like Sam Raimi like crazy camera movements.
Did he do Drag Me to Hell?
Yes.
That movie is so fucking riduculous.
Yeah, it's really.
Have you seen that recently?
No,
I haven't either. I don't know why I said that. Like, it is stuck with me. It is an absurd movie.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And this one is
wild ending.
Yeah. That you can see coming a mile away.
Are you joking?
No, I'm just because I mean, like they made it pretty obvious because it's like, oh, here's that thing that's just
also the title.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 2 seconds to figure out the ending.
They weren't hiding that. I just remember there's like the goat and like the old lady. Oh, like a gross scene with her tongue and mouth. Anyway,
there's some wacky over the top gross out stuff in this one. That's very
in Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, gross out for like a PG, where it's like he's pushing the limits of a PG-13 rating. It's not like it's like goes full on Evil Dead, but they're sort of like, whoa, shit, like you did that, whoa, like it's it's worth checking out if you want.
I'm not. The listeners can check it out. I'm not. I'll tell you what. If I do start watching Marvel, I'm not starting with Doctor Strange.
You should,
dude. I know we had the episodes. It's too much.
No,
it's too much. It's just too much. It's too many cloaks and capes and flying and the tights. And it feels like every actor now is just being an actor to get into a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's the highest recognition you would get in Hollywood. I mean,
but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't. I'm gonna sound
I
like
think it should.
I'm gonna sound like Scorsese, and I'm only 30. I'm 31. I'm only 31, and I'm already becoming a crotchety old cantankerous man. Like, I'm still for them, the same reasons we all said, but I just see them. I'm just like, oh, seriously, another one. Because there's also the shows now. There's also so many shows.
Yeah. That's like the only downside of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It comes with a lot of baggage. So you have to watch WandaVision, which I think is like 8 hours or so.
I'm not gonna watch WandaVision.
You gotta watch that. Watch episodes 1, 5, and 6 of What If. Just watch the whole season.
I'm not watching WandaVision. I don't need. You know what word I never need to hear for like a decade is multiverse. I don't need to hear multiverse ever again. I don't.
Well, that's what I'm calling this episode.
Well, I don't want to hear multiverse. Look, I'm glad people go to see him in the movies. I love movie theaters. I'm glad it makes you happy. It employs people. It's too much. You
know what would make me happy and would make me want to employ you?
What?
Is if you watched WandaVision and then you watched episodes 1, 5, and 6 of What If, and then you
What is What If? What is that?
It's a Marvel Disney Plus show. It deals with the multiverse.
No, I'm not doing it. I don't. I even clicked on something around Tomatoes recently that was like, if you're gonna watch all the Marvel movies in order, like this is the order. And I was like, maybe
it was a pretty easy list, right? Like you can get it done in like a couple of weeks if you watch it nonstop.
I can't do it. My style, and I am one of those people. It's a stereotype, but I'm one of those, like, the Batman is more my style, right? Yeah, he's in a cape, but it's like it's more.
It's a bat cloak. It's a utility cloak.
That's more my. That's what's gonna get. I don't need the rings and the.
Did you watch the new Batman?
Fucking cosmos shit around their head? Yeah.
The Twilight Batman.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good.
Yeah.
That's more my style.
I thought it was fine.
Not WandaVision.
Dr. Wanda.
Not
Dr. Wanda in the Vision of Madness or whatever.
Assemble. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't mean to be that guy because I don't like when people shit on what other. But even like I am a Star Wars guy, for instance. Even Star Wars got like too much. Slow down. It's too much.
Yeah.
I don't need to see. I don't need the show with the off character, the offshoot. It's a lot. Yeah. But hey, whatever. It makes people happy. Just not this guy.
Yeah. Well, this guy is no longer with the podcast. So.
That being said, the one thing I can't get enough of, and I will just eat the slop all the time, is Game of Thrones. I cannot fucking wait for House of the Dragon. I know. See, that's me with your Marvel shit. You roll your eye. I love it. I'm going to read the book right before leading up to it. I used to read a Game of Thrones.
Marvel movies are based on literature.
Game of Thrones, oh my god, dude, is so much better. The world is so intricate, and it's like
based on Lord of the Rings fanfic.
It's not. Oh god, you're gonna get me fired up. You're gonna get me fired up right now. Yeah, I will watch anything that comes out with that, even if it's begrudgingly. I will watch. I cannot wait for House of the Dragon. Oh, okay. We'll get more into that. I don't know how you can not watch that stuff or read the books. They're so good.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things. I've heard that there's a lot of words and a lot of pages. And
yeah, it's a book.
All right.
I've been to your house. You have books.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do. Huh?
Are those just for show? So when you're in the back of a Zoom meeting?
Yeah, they were here when they're load bearing books, so I can't move them, or else the garage will collapse. So.
All right.
On that note.
On that note.
Yeah.
All right. Stay reckless, Joe.
Stay reckless, Ben.